The Liz, one of the things that you guys raised was, you know, when is it time? Like, what kind of advice do you give people? How do you talk about sort of when's the right time to consider, um, aging life care services, other than all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very individual. It's a process, and it depends. I would say on the individual support system for starters, but some of the red flags that I tell are we're trained to look for are is someone not able, are they not able to take care of their activities of daily living, their ADLs, bathing, dressing, grooming. Are they eating properly? If you go to visit mom, are there rotting foods in the refrigerator, or bills not getting paid, has somebody had a recent accident while driving, was a spouse recently diagnosed with something, and maybe that spouse was the caregiver for the other spouse, so the equilibrium is off. So those are some of the red flags. I think ideally, getting a plan in place and maybe not having to implement it in full, but doing it before there's a crisis makes a lot of sense. So you have the resources on hand. It doesn't always work that way, but those are some of the red flags that I mentioned that I think would be a time that I might recommend somebody consult an aging life care specialist for assistance.
Aaron, do you anything in particular that you and your colleagues at Brandywine Elder Care Management sort of either talk about or promote in terms of sort of trying to keep it sort of front of mind or deal with folks when they need you?
Yeah, I think obviously, like we said earlier, most of our clients come to us with an urgent need. But even a new diagnosis is, I think, a good trigger for somebody to reach out. A change in a family situation, somebody passes away or there's a move, or a new diagnosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, a different dementia, where we know they're going to now be going down a path that has some significant needs. So what do we need to know? What do we need to be aware of? Neurologists will refer our services, for example, to clients with they don't have significant needs in the moment. I mean, it's not a crisis, but they know this is going to be a marathon,
Right.
and they need to be prepared. They need to know, what are we looking at when it comes to a physical space, helping make that more accessible, like the work you do, Larry. What kinds of medical providers and medications are we likely to need? If it's a diagnosis that has a cognitive impact, what are we going to need to do as far as making sure the person's getting their medication safely, that they're, when they lose some of their executive functioning skills, that things don't fall through the cracks that are serious. Most of us in our field will be happy to talk with anybody, have a initial phone call at no cost, just to say, tell us about what's going on with you or your loved one. And then we can tell you the kinds of services we can provide. It's not for us to say, oh, you need to contact this particular home care company. That's not what that's for, but help you understand it in a deeper way, the kinds of services that we can provide. I think most of the time people can benefit from our services. Sometimes they don't need to bring us on board. They just need a direction, or we know that this is bringing somebody on isn't going to be workable for them for some way, shape, or form, or their loved one is in a different area. That happens sometimes also. And on the National Association's website, you can find a local aging life care manager. So maybe it's just understanding who we are and what we do. And because we can have that conversation, that initial conversation, without any cost to them, I think then sometimes we'll get a call, and then maybe months later they come back and say, you know what, now's the time. Now we really know that we need to contact you, get that assessment done, get some recommendations.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that happens not quite as often for us, but I feel like that's kind of ideal, because most of the time we'll get a call and we need this now, and they may actually need it right now. They may need it very, very soon, but so often it's when that person goes into rehab, it would be so much easier if we started talking to them about what it's going to look like coming out. My guess is you guys could be doing the same thing, And for us, we sure would like to have seen the house and understand what's going on with the individual before it's 2 days before discharge.
Yeah, it's obviously better if we have some time. And again, time to help people understand what is and is not reasonable. We've had client calls where, they live near a senior living community and they said, well, I'm not ready now, but when I'm ready, I'll reach out. And by the time they've determined they're ready, they can't move in to the part of the community that they want to. Or they've taken off time to go tour several different communities with their loved ones, not understanding that the loved one does not qualify or financially can't afford that option. So the more lead time we have, the easier it is for you in your line of work. And certainly the easier it is for us to really be prepared when that discharge comes. Let's take a look at what are the goals, the physical therapy, occupational therapy goals for this client by the time they're discharged from the website. What are their physical care needs? So we have time to really put in place all the supports they're going to need when that discharge happens.
Liz, were you going to say something? I saw you had a sort of knowing nod.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm agreeing with what Erin's saying, but then there's like another, I don't think we've touched upon another service that we offer as care managers is consultations. So, sometimes people don't need, they're not sure where to turn, or you can have blended families, siblings not seeing eye to eye on things. So I offer, a 1-hour consultation to kind of let everyone be heard, with the focus of the client being the senior and their safety and needs paramount, but hearing other people's input and concerns, as to what mom or dad may need. And sometimes after that, the goal hopefully is, after that conversation, that we've reached a resolution that everybody is in agreement with. So I think that's a valuable service that Aging Life Care Associates can offer as well.
Yeah, as I sit here and listen to both of you, it really kind of reinforces, I think so many of these things are very consistent across all the areas of post-acute. So many things that you're describing make me immediately think of hospice. And I've always believed that hospice is one of the, fundamentally really just good healthcare services, but so many people, physicians, family members, et cetera, shy away from it because of what they associate it with. And yet I've seen over and over again that when people engage services early, whatever the process, whatever the length of time is, it tends to work a lot better. And I'm listening to you all talk about your involvement and often very long-term involvement with your clients. And I see the same kind of parallels.
I think hospice is a conversation we try to have with all of our families. It sounds less threatening. There's such a stigma to the word, but beyond the stigma, I think many people don't know all the benefits. This is a Medicare benefit,
right.
And it comes with a whole host of services to support your loved one and support your family.
Well, support the family,
yeah. And that extends beyond that person's passing. So if we have a conversation early, I'll say eventually we're all going to benefit from hospice services, the timing, and that help them understand when is the right time to pursue that and why is that the right time. What qualifies somebody for hospice and what doesn't, but also that education component. And I'm sure you agree, Liz, is a huge part of what we do. Educating families and clients on what's out there, what the payer sources are, how those operations work. And hospice is a key thing. We've got some great hospice providers in this area. And we've seen really, it's going to sound odd, but good passings for, properly supported passings for our clients and their families with those good hospice companies.
Oh, I 100% agree. I mean, when you think of sort of, the palliative aspects and sort of managing pain and so forth, and I completely agree. There are a lot of really effective ways, to use those services that have a good outcome for everybody, including the extended family. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end here. I really appreciate both of you taking the time to talk. I think what's very clear to me, and I think to anyone who listens to this, is that each of you and ALCA members as a whole are really a tremendous sort of resource. You're an impartial, value-added resource that touches so many different elements for the different individuals and their families. And it sounds like we would all benefit from everyone sort of raising their understanding and awareness of what having high quality aging life care specialists engage with the family can do, because you are the hub, you are the quarterback, and can help everyone navigate what's a challenging time.